least one Quebec lawyer isn't smiling over McDonald's Happy Meals. Joey Zucran launched a class-action lawsuit against the mega fast food chain. He filed the case 2 years ago on behalf of a parent who bought hundreds of McDonald's toys for his kids over several years. It's illegal in Quebec to advertise to children under the age of 13. Zucran says McDonald's is violating provincial laws by displaying Happy Meal toys in restaurants. And today, Quebec Superior Court said the lawsuit can proceed. Joey Zucran is the lawyer, as I mentioned, heading the class action suit, and he is in Montreal right now. Hi, Mr. Zucran. Great to have you on the show.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
Okay, you have to clarify it for me. What exactly is the harm that's being caused by McDonald's having a display of toys?
Well, first of all, before going to the harm, we have to explain what the law in Quebec is. And the law, according to Quebec's Consumer Protection Act, is that a merchant cannot make use of advertising that's directed at children under 13 years of age. So as we all know, any parent or any child who walks into a McDonald's today will see those displays generally related to the most recent cinematic release showing toys. So the harm is essentially that we are inciting the most vulnerable members of society, who are children, to essentially not only inciting but manipulating them to effectively manipulate their own parents to go ahead and purchase these toys.
Aren't we assuming that parents are manipulated, though? Can't they just say no?
Well, that's the easy way out, right? So we can have a multinational company violate the law for the last 3 decades and then just say, well, we're not going to blame us, blame the parents. So the consumer protection legislation is a public order law that's here to protect consumers from themselves. So while yes, the answer is parents should say no, the reality, as we all know, I myself am a father of a 9, 7, and 5-year-old, is that you have to choose your battles. And what easier battle to choose and cave into than to feed your child? So a kid who's hungry and wants to eat, and his deal with you is that just buy me that meal with the toy and I'll eat everything. Guess what? I'm taking that deal any day of the week.
So I understand that the contention is that because it's at eye level for a child, it's therefore that's a big part of the problem. How do you measure at what level? I mean, is bad, is good, crosses, you know?
Quite frankly, I think anywhere in front of the counter is that would qualify as directly inciting, which is the violation here, which is the problem.
Don't kids find it anywhere, wherever it is?
Well,
the kids I know would.
Same here, but I don't think it should be displayed at all. So I haven't done the exercise in Ontario or the rest of Canada, but in Quebec we did look at Burger Kings and Harveys, and one of the arguments McDonald's raised in defense at the hearing was that, well, Burger King and Harveys also include a toy with their children's meals. Yes, that's true, but the difference is that Burger Kings and Harveys do not advertise those toys anywhere. So our position, and according to the judge and according to Quebec law as well, is that they should not be anywhere displayed anywhere in the store. If McDonald's wants to include them, I may have personal or subjective views on that are irrelevant to the legal aspect. The legal side is that you cannot advertise, and that's what we're trying to have enforced here.
How are you going to prove in the suit which parents, that a parent even bought the toy?
Okay, that's a good question. So right now, the case was analyzed through the prism of our own client, who was obviously able to make the allegation and show some proof that he had toys. What you're referring to is going to happen at a later stage if there's a judgment on the merits, where people will have to make individual claims. We don't expect people to have kept their receipts. Obviously, if you have your receipts, keep them. I'll open a bracket here and say that this case is open to anyone in the world, not only Quebec, Canada, or the United States, but essentially anyone who visited. The judge opened the class to anybody who visited Quebec and purchased a Happy Meal or toy from Quebec. So my answer to you is keep your toys, keep a picture of your toys. If you have a bill or an invoice, keep it, or just be prepared to make a sworn declaration. That shouldn't be too complicated.
Okay, what about on a larger scale? We're talking about Quebec. I know that there is some kind of legislation out there talking about advertising that's aimed at kids. Tell us what you anticipate there.
Well, I think you just raised something that's very important. So Senator, retired now, Nancy Green-Rain, actually tabled Bill S-228, which essentially mirrors the Quebec provincial law on marketing to children under 13. Actually, the initial version of that bill brought the age limit up to 17, but when it came back from the House of Commons to the Senate, they reduced it back to 13 years old. The bill has been adopted in both houses and is now going to go into force in 2020, unfortunately. During the parliamentary debates, Senator Green herself said that some feel that this bill is unfairly targeting McDonald's Happy Meals. She actually specified it, and that would obviously be a misunderstanding and a misconception of the bill. Happy Meals were once seen as a positive thing. Today we know that a lot of it is unhealthy. Eating, obviously, a Big Mac and cheese is obviously not so healthy.
But
Pretty good, yeah. I mean, I haven't had one in a while, but but that
I wish
said,
I could say the same. Yeah.
but that said, obviously what we want to try to avoid here, and we have the Await Coalition actually supporting our cause as well. It's called the Coalition here in Quebec, who actually tackle obesity and other health-related issues. That said, what we want to really do is force a pretty large company, a well-known company as well, to respect the law. And interestingly, I've read their press release where they say, oh yeah, we respect the law in Quebec, and if you look at our website, we don't add, they actually admit that their website in French is different than their website in English. So look at the logic here. McDonald's is saying, our French, and anyone can do this exercise at home, if you go to the French web version of their website, they will actually not show you any toys. But there's a different treatment to Anglo-Canadians, which is we'll show you the toys and we'll advertise to your kids. The judge mentioned that argument. He said it's lame, and I'm quoting the judge here, he used the word boiteux in French, which means lame, and he said that this argument really weakens McDonald's position, and I don't see how they're going to be able to get back on side after this authorization judgment was rendered without removing the toys and without removing the displays showing the toys from the front of their restaurants.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Zoukran. We'll be watching the case. Appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.